We are live. It is the Rich Lieberman Bay Area Media Pulse for a Wednesday, and been working on this KRON story. It involves the new general manager, Mr. Flynn, who has taken over, and I got wind of a memo. It's not a secret memo, but it's close to. It's a directive, and it was sent directly to Mr. Flynn, the new general manager. And what it said was emphatic and terse and to the point. Make KRON worthy. I don't know who said that directly. I would assume it's somebody high up in the Nexstar chain of command. Now, those of you who don't know who or what is Nexstar, Nexstar is the corporate owner of all the TV stations, and they are affiliated with the CW network, of which KRON is their biggest station, at least one of their biggest stations. And this is big. This is basically the big boss telling the other little big boss to get it right. And here's another wording in this memo. I have no idea who wrote this, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's somebody even high up. By any means necessary. Now, what are they talking about? Well, look, in theory, this sounds fantastic. Sounds great. In practicality, I'm going to hold off any kind of tangent thoughts on this memo because we've heard this before. Maybe not as wordy as this. Maybe not as, hey, go do what we are going to pay you pretty good amount of coin to do. They're tired of KRON, they being Nexstar. They're tired of KRON being what they view as an underperforming television station. Again, in theory, wonderful. Practicality, look, folks, when you're dealing with this kind of a situation, a few things. I've mentioned personnel at KRON. Some of their most popular, and I say popular, I mean that only in the sense that people have noticed these people for decades now. Some of them, like, look, Catherine Heenan, Vicky Liviakis, Daria Folsom. In order to start a new bang, if you will, in order for a real, true renaissance, then you have to get rid of some of the bad things. Not necessarily bad in the literal sense, but you have to start getting new people on board. So this guy Flynn, and I don't know much about him, as I told you guys yesterday. All I know is he's got experience. Apparently, he's a decent guy, and he is successful, which I guess got him the gig at KRON. Because he's going to have to do some trimming. And that involves personnel, which ultimately means he's got to tell a few people to basically go bye-bye. We love your commitment to the company. We love the fact that you've been a master for some of this is just PR. You know what I mean? You have to start anew. Unfortunately, in KRON's case, they don't have key people. They don't have face of station type of people. The only people just remotely even being near that area of face of station are people like Vicky Liviakis. I said the other day, Vicky's great. She's understated. She has a very, very beautiful look, and I mean that respectfully, obviously. It's television news, it's a visual medium, but she's considered yesterday. Same thing with Catherine Heenan. Look, a few years back when they told Pam Moore to take a parachute, Pam was reluctant, but she did. She took it because she was costing too much money. That's what they have to do. It's not just the money, it's the people that they have there. And as I said also, Grant Lotus, Justine Waldman, they're not forceful. They're not face of station material. That's very subjective, but I know people in the industry, they agree. They say the same thing. They don't have a headliner. They might have to look elsewhere, outside the market. But in order to do that, you're talking about paying somebody quite a bit of money. This is a very expensive area to live in. You all know that, especially San Francisco, even with all its ills and online and YouTube and ugly stuff taking place with the homeless and drugs, and they've made some improvement. Nevertheless, a lot of the city is still in a bad situation. We all know that. So to get somebody to come here, you got to pay them. And you got to pay them enough to where they can live here, or at least in the, suburbs and all that. That still requires a lot of money, especially somebody who comes here with a family, kids, what have you, all that kind of stuff. So that's a very dicey proposition. I don't know what they're going to do, but it's evident that Nexstar believes, and this is the headline, KRON is underperforming. KRON is in a major market, one of their top major market stations, the Bay Area. And they want improvement. They want results. They want sales, speaking of sales, and its importance to the new boss to pick up. KRON, as I said, their staple is news. It's not the most exciting crew, but they do an adequate job. But they do have to up the ante. And if it's true, if there's some teeth behind this memo to Flynn, then apparently he's got the okay to do whatever he has to do. Like I said, their words, by all or any, excuse me, let me repeat it directly, by any means necessary. To me, that would indicate do what you have to do. Some of these people that are probably going to be asked to take a buyout are tenured people like Vicky Liviakis, like Catherine Heenan, and others. Grant Lotus, Justine Waldman, they're not move the needle type people at night. And they're young enough still, and they have a certain star quality, but it's very understated. So the big news is that Nexstar wants KRON to be more formidable. Well, like anything else, got to work it. This ain't going to happen overnight. And yes, the ratings at KRON are very bad. They still make money. That's the most important thing. But their ratings are bad. They need something like a big bolt, a shot in the arm. Flynn, I guess, has the okay from corporate. Now, the big question is, will he act on this? We'll have to wait and see. I'll see you later.